Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to show you how to make a drawing sheet just like this one with editable attributes, but more importantly that prints to scale. So it's A3 size and it'll print to A3 1:1 with no scaling or anything like that. Before we get going, please remember to like and subscribe because it really helps my channel, and also check out the link in the description for my free AutoCAD cheat sheet to help you speed up your skills. On with the tutorial. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start a new drawing up here. And then we're going to go to layout 1, and what you'll get is you won't have very much. So what we're going to do is we're going to click new, and we're going to call it let's call it new layout. Okay, and then we're going to go through each one of these one by one, so we'll do these quickly. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pick AutoCAD PDF high quality print. Yours might look a bit different depending on what version you've got. You might have more or less options depending on when you watch this and if you've got LT or not. But if you can see one that's something along those lines, high quality print, then that's what you want. And then next, for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm just going to keep it simple and use ISO A3. There is expand A3 and full bleed. Essentially it's the same size piece of paper, but some printers can print on more of the paper, like a bigger percentage. I'm gonna click 420 by 2. There we go. So ISO ISO expand, even though I said I wasn't going to. Right, ISO A3. There we go. 420 by 297. So it's portrait here. Sorry, it's landscape here, and it's landscape here. And we're going to keep it on layout for now. We can't center the plot yet, but what we are going to do is make that 1:1. And then we're going to come up here to plot styles, and we're going to click AutoCAD. You might get AutoCAD LT, something like that. Don't worry if there's nothing there. It doesn't actually matter that much for the purposes of this exercise. And I'm going to come down to maximum, because why wouldn't you? We are going to plot transparency because it's useful. And then we're going to leave it at that. So we're just going to click OK because there's be nothing on our drawing at the moment. And new layout, we're going to select that now and hit set current. That's the one whatever you called it, set it as current, and then close. Okay, so what you should have now is a viewport in layer 0 and nothing else. So if you can't see all of this stuff in my tool palettes, then that's what you should see if your screen is clean. So it's a good idea to get your layer properties up because we're going to add 2 new layers now. First one is going to be title block. I'm going to keep that in black, and then we're going to do one more. We're going to call that viewports, and with this one we're going to make it a gaudy colour, so we're going to make it purple just so it stands out. I know some people use light blue or cyan, whatever you want to call it, but just a colour you're not going to use normally when you're drawing. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to click the microscopic printer just there. And that means that basically the viewport will never print, so you'll never see the line, which is good because sometimes you want lots and lots of viewports and you don't want to actually see where the lines are. So we're going to click that, we're going to put the viewport on the viewport layer, and I'm going to hit escape. And what I am going to do actually, I'm going to turn my keyboard tracking on now while we actually draw the title block. My viewport's gone a bit bonkers. This is like the 3rd time I've recorded the video because it crashed a minute ago. This time it didn't crash, but it just made it completely tiny. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this viewport because it's clearly cursed. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to make a new one. So we're going to make it later because we don't actually need the viewport to do most of what we're doing. We will need it eventually, but we don't need it yet. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to close these for now. So what we're going to do is we're going to come to title block, and essentially we're going to draw a rectangle inside this grey dotted one. If we'd chosen A3 expand or A3 full bleed, we would get a lot more up here and down here. But we're not going to do that because not everybody's printers can handle it, certainly not full bleed. That's like a professional quality printing. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick a rectangle up here. And we're going to click somewhere down here in the bottom corner. So there we go. And the size we're looking for is it's 406 by I think it's 260. and that gets us pretty close, not completely there. If we got it bang on the line perfectly, it would probably chop the edges off when it made the PDF, or when you try to print it. It would probably, not every time, but maybe some printers or some PDFs. So it doesn't really matter where it is, honestly, as long as it's in fact, it doesn't actually have to be inside the grey area. I'll show you why now. The important bit is that it's to scale, really. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here to plot, and we're going to, so we've got it ISO A3, that's fine. We're going to change the plot area, and we're going to change it to extent, and we're going to center the plot. And it's basically what you want to watch out for is any red around here. That means if we had red, then it would mean that something was wrong, which is what I had previously, but we don't. So scale line weights is off, those three are on, transparency, plot styles, like line weights, good to go. So we're going to apply it to the layout so you don't have to keep coming back and doing it. And we're not going to print it out. And then we're going to cancel because we've applied it to the layout. That's all we need for now. That's what we'll preview. We'll preview it. There we go. So we can see all four edges, the previewer. So far so good. Cancel that. Right, now we need to build the actual title block itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a rectangle, and we're going to start in the bottom corner here, and we're going to go, we want it about 75 wide. You can do a title block across the bottom, and everything I show you in this video will actually work for doing it along the bottom as well. It's just that most of them are up the top, and it's just the sort of standard way of doing it. So it's 260 high because we just did that. So we're going to do minus 75, comma 260. There we go. That's kind of nestled perfectly along there. And now we're going to put some lines, and we're going to basically fill out all the boxes so that it looks like this. This is what we're going to make. The next thing I'm going to add is text. So I'm going to put myself some labels in. So the title block, all this frame, and all the gubbins in here are all going to be part of a block eventually. So they're the bits we need to change will be attributes. So we'll change those. I'll come on to that in a minute. But the labels, things like project number, title for drawing, they're not going to change. They're going to be the same every time. So we're just going to make them in text. If you just click the big A, pick a spot. We're not going to use all that. What you want to do for A3, I tend to set my text at 2.5. Type some stuff in this time, so we're going to type in drawing number. That's the one I like to have at the bottom. Don't worry, I know this looks enormous now, but it won't be. If we just click over here, click. Oh, look at that. It's a normal size. It's actually small, if anything. Oh, that's okay. So we don't want these too big because they are just labels. So there's sort of minimal benefit. And then I'm going to copy that. I'm going to hit F8, so I'll go orthogonally. We're going to want drawing number, a drawing title, a project number, an actual drawing type. Again, you might not need all of these, or you might want different ones. I know what I need for my drawings. And then we're going to have the kind of the client's information. So we're going to move that up here. So we're going to have like a box in there. And then we're going to have our information as the designer, so we're going to have another box in there. I'm going to have a bit of a logo, and then we're going to have the drawing control, I think, above that. So we're going to have the revisions, and then way up here we're going to have the notes. We might make those smaller, but we'll mess around with that in a minute. So I'm just going to fill all these in, and I'm going to pause recording and come back. Okay, so I've just altered all these labels now. So we've got drawing number, title, project number, drawing type. You could also have project name in there, but that's going to be, it's pretty much for me, it's one client, one project. So designer, revision, so that's drawing control and notes. So what I'm going to do with these two is I'm actually going to make them size 2, not 2.0. So what you can do is, let's pretend we close that. If you right click, properties, save kind of going in and editing each of them, just do text type 2, and they're going to be smaller. And so what we're going to do is now we're going to draw some lines. We know this is 75 wide, so if we do 75, I'm wondering if you need to turn your snaps on, it's F3 by the way. F3 and 8 are my F3 and F8 are my golden kind of keys. We're just going to move these up. We can rearrange them as we need to. I think that looks looks okay though. So there. So keep the spacing consistent. Again, we can always tweak this later. If you're being really picky, we could actually we could set the text apart, or we could draw little construction lines for where stuff's going to go and measure it all, like space everything out literally millimeter by millimeter, which I more or less did for this one, but not quite. Just for the demonstration, we don't really need that kind of level of anal retentiveness. So we're going to scroll over to there. Okay, this one's going to be a bit narrower because we need the space here with the drawing control box. This is where we're going to list the revisions, by the way. So we're going to have revision. We're going to have date. I'm going to have drawn, checked, and then reason for issue. Okay, so I've just updated these titles. And what we're going to do is going to put a line up here. I'm going to move it to there. So we've got the date, who it was drawn by, which is me, who it was checked by, which is at the moment probably no one, and then that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make an attribute block, a special one to go in there, which isn't going to be part of the whole block, but it's going to be its own little independent block. But we'll do that shortly. In fact, we'll do it now. So the next thing we're going to do is the attributes. So for that, we want to do attribute definition. So at def. What we'll do is, and then what that does is it brings up this. For the tag, so the first one is it's drawing number. So I'm just going to put something short in, drawing number, and then I'm going to copy it into prompt, and then the default will be like a generic one, as that is actually the prompt, bizarrely. So year, job number, and then so I pick like some letters to tell you what kind of drawing it is, and then we'll have a drawing number, and then a revision. You could have a revision box separately if you wanted. What we're going to do then, so you just put something in here. For the others, it won't be anything like as complicated. It'll just be probably just a copy of this. But for the drawing number, it's good to have a kind of a system. That's the one I'm going to use. You need to make your own one. So for text type, we're going to put that in as 2. We don't want any rotation. I'm not going to use annotative, but you can if you want. If you want it to sort of scale, and then we're going to do OK. So now we've got this Duigno. I'm going to pop that in there. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to copy that one around, and then we're going to change the details. So I'm going to pop this over here, or are we? No, we're not. What I forgot to do is draw the line. So I'm going to move that back here. I think what I'm going to do is keep that consistent because it's taking up too much space. Okay, so now we're just going to copy it. Now, what I did by mistake was I put 2, and we should have put that at 2.5. So what we can do is now match properties. Sorry about that. We're going to make the one up here too. Right. So for the next one, what we're going to do for the client and the designer. So for this, what we want to do is we want to come down to the properties. So if you haven't got that open, right click and properties. Just with that one selected, you're going to come down here where it says multiple lines. You're going to click yes. And you see there, you get the kind of 2 magic grips and not 1. So now when you edit it, the only sort of difference is actually this box here, the multi-line editor. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag this box. Oh, you bugger. Do it again. Right. We're going to drag this box down so it fills more or less that area. Don't put it all the way, or else it will go over and it'll look silly. and then we're going to type in, you could just put address 1, address 2. I think that's what I did when I was doing it sensibly. It won't update yet until we make it a block, so it's going to stay like that. Actually, we don't want to call them Dwig now, do we? We want to call them, so this one is going to be title. And for all of these other ones, what I should have done earlier was just, and then because this one is a multi-line one, whereas all these are single line ones, we're going to copy this one again. I'm going to pick that grip up in the corner, and actually we're going to change that to client, and then this one is going to be designer, but this is going to be you. So your name, your address, put your email on it as well, and website. You know, it's no. I'm actually taking my name and address off that one for the purposes of this video. But you know, put your contact details in there. You know, do a bit of advertising. So up here, we're going to put your logo. I've made my own logo. So what you can do here to actually add, I'm going to assume that you've got your own logo. You can just stick any picture in if you want to practice. So what we're going to do is come up here to insert, and then we're going to go to attach. So I'm just going to pick honeycomb logo. Okay, and then yeah, that all looks fine. And then I'm going to pick a point in the corner. I'm just going to drag it there. Just going to move it, position it a little bit off so it's sort of off of there. And what you can also do is you can, if you look at the properties here, I love the properties menu, by the way. You should definitely keep this open as much as you can. I take it off for aesthetic reasons sometimes, but that's it. Otherwise, it's always on for me. So you can even set things like background transparency. If, let's say, if you've got like a white logo or a black logo, or at least if it's got a background in it, then you can always do that. Then what we're going to do is, so the other thing you can do is, if you don't want to see a border around it, because we want to put it on title block, and what you can do is you can use image frame. So image frame, and I think 0 turns the image frame off, but it also means you can get to it. You might not be able to edit it though. If I try and drag that, does it edit? Yeah, it does. It used to be different, so it used to be 0, 1 and 2, and I think 2 was that you could edit it, but you couldn't see the frame when you print it. So anyway, now what we're going to do is we're going to move this down so it just touches the go. And now we're going to do we'll do some notes before we do the last attribute. So notes, and what happens if you do 1 and then bracket, it will actually do your bullets automatically, or you can do bullet points up here. You can do fancier ones up here, I think. So we'll just put all, depending on what you're drawing, you might need a whole armada of bullet points down here. I'm just going to leave those two there, so as an example. You don't want to come too far down here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make a handy little attribute block. So what we're going to do is we'll do @def again. So ATTDEF space. This time we are going to keep it as 2, and this time we're going to call it rev, and then just paste that in there and do OK. So we're going to squeeze that into that box, and then we're just going to copy it across. We're going to use the bottom corner as the... Okay, I'm just going to populate these and pause it. Okay, so I've just been in and edited each one of these. So like for the reason for issue, for information, for construction, for planning approval, whatever. And that's kind of ready to go now. So what you'll see is now, once we make it a block, all of these things will change. So we're not going to put quite all of them in the block. So we're going to select everything, and then you're going to hold shift, and we're going to take the notes out of it. And we need one more line, actually. Cancel that. So we're just going to make a line for our revision thing. So we're going to select everything, hold shift, We'll take out the notes, and then we're going to take out the top line and then just these attributes, and we'll keep everything else in, and we're going to type in BLOCK without deselecting everything, and we're going to call it title block example, whatever. Call it, don't call it example, but call it whatever you want. And so base point we're going to specify on screen. Objects we've already selected. If you didn't select any, you can go around and select them after, but I find it's quicker to do it at the start. You can allow exploding. I don't usually touch those. Annotated might be useful for scaling it to other drawings. In fact, that would be very useful. I might do a tutorial for an annotated one next. And then we're going to click OK. I wouldn't open the block editor. There's no need. And so now all we're going to do is we're going to click the bottom right hand corner. Ping, and this is what it's brought up. So now when you double click on your block, sometimes you will see this, so you can go in and edit all of these things. So project number, we're going to call it 001, title example drawing type, it's a planning drawing. We're going to leave the addresses and we'll do OK. So there you can see we've updated those. If I try and double click on the writing, it doesn't do anything, but all it does do is open up this dialog box, so I can go in and I can change things as I want. So I can change that to drawing 101. There we go, it's changed it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come up here and we're going to make this into its own little block. This is the drawing control box. So block, we'll do the same again, so we call it drawing control. Hit OK, and then we're going to click in the bottom left hand corner. So we'll leave those as they are. So till revision, we'll call it so we'll do P01, preliminary revision drawn. Now as you can see, the date is slightly too big, so what we can do, we'd have to go back in and edit that, so which is frustrating. Can we do the block editor? We can, but we just can't see how big we need to make it. That's annoying. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to move all of these over a little bit, but then we've got to come back to, so we'll try about that much. Close, save the changes, and then what we need to do is we're going to edit this block, and we're just going to move these over a little bit. And we're going to come up to save changes. Edit in place is a very, very useful tool. So we're going to click OK. It still looks ugly. Okay, so sometimes what happens is these get locked. So what we're going to do is we're going to explode that. Okay, let's try again. There we go. So now we got it at just the right spacing, and our block is still a block, so we can still edit things. And there you have it. So the only thing left to do is the viewport, really. So what you would then do is click on your viewport layer and type in viewports, and then I usually just pick active model configuration unless you're doing something fancy, you want 3 viewports, so just do that and then click somewhere up there. I never make mine all the way in. Some people put it right to the edges, but what I like to do is like that, so it's snapped itself in there. So we'll do F3, take the snaps off with F3. You can do if you want, it's entirely up to you, but I like to be able to just double click on the edges and go in. I find that really useful. So and then we're going to click model space to go back out. So I'm going to save that, and so essentially this is what it should look like when it's done. and you can go in and look at your model. I hope you found this useful. Please let me know in the comments what kind of tutorials you want, and if there's anything you didn't get in this, or if you anything you think I missed, please leave me a comment. And like I said, do check out the link in the description for freebies. We've got a free AutoCAD cheat sheet, and I might do a free title block soon as well, because I think they're quite handy. Thank you very much for watching, and yeah, please leave me a comment. Bye bye.